Hey, what's going on, boys? Swaggy here. So, any for dudes continue for today. So today we're reacting to a FNAF video. I'm not gonna lie, I love a lot of his stuff. I watched a lot of his stuff in the past, but overall, so I think might be like one of my first times watching his video on the channel itself. So please go check out FNAF, and who knows, maybe you'll enjoy his content more than you'll enjoy maybe mine. But aside from that, though, please actually go check him out. Though, he makes a ton of amazing stuff, and overall, in general, I love a lot of it. So that info just continue. So the clue that solves FNAF security breach. Yeah, FNAF security breach isn't a complicated game. It's a weird game, and it doesn't really answer too many of the questions we get while asking us more. It says here, so FNAF Security Breach is a game that I feel hasn't been fully explored or solved yet, so I decided to jump back in, knowing that we know from Help Wanted 2 and in the Tales book, it is possible to make sense of what FNAF Security Breach is telling us. Let's find out. I hope you all enjoy. So yeah, this came out just a few days ago, maybe like 10 days ago, and yeah, I just wanted to go into it now. So of course, please go check out everybody while they enjoy this stuff. They work really hard and it's their support, so please go check them out. So yeah, like I said, FNAF Security Breach, gave us a lot of questions and gave us a lot of answers to previous questions, but in general, it still, didn't answer all of them. Didn't really get to the core of our questions. So hopefully this video will help explain that. And actually, give me a second. I gotta go check something out. I'll be right back. I'm right. I'm sorry about that. So anyways, let's continue.
In July of 2023, we were officially introduced to the next big bad of the franchise, the Mimic. This is great, but I keep going back to the same question. Was this always the plan? When Scott and Steelwell were making Security Breach, was the Mimic always going to be the big reveal? Well, after diving back into Security Breach, I think that answer is yes. This theory has been months in the making, and I can't wait to share it with you. Let's get started. During my research, I found that the Tales...
Hold on, before I get... You can see bro's hair. This is a side effect called the FNAF addict hair. I used to have it. Matpat used to have it. I'm just playing. But yeah, bro's hair is extremely wild. Bro probably just got out of bed like at that very second in order to just go onto YouTube and make this theory.
From the Pizzaplex books were really trying to point us in the right direction. Basically, some of the events that take place in the books also happen in the games, but they aren't completely the same. And the first of these events revolves around how the Mimic got to the Pizzaplex. In the books, they make it very clear that the Mimic wasn't always at the Pizzaplex, it was shipped to the Pizzaplex. In the books, before the Pizzaplex was done being built, there was a construction crew working on the FNAF 6 pizzeria under the Pizzaplex. Suddenly, a big shipment arrived out of nowhere, and this shipment included a bunch of, quote, state-of-the-art animatronics and the Mimic. The Mimic stuck out from the rest of the animatronics because it was old and burnt. Meanwhile, the other animatronics in the shipment looked brand new. The construction workers were told that the delivery was happening, but were confused about what the delivery contained. Saying, quote, state-of-the-art animatronics? It was weird to be receiving these now, when the building was little more than an open framework. This is how the Mimic got to the Pizzaplex in the books, but what about the games? Well, throughout Security Breach, there's these white sticky notes scattered everywhere. Everywhere you turn in this mall, you can find more of these white sticky notes, which tells me that Steelwell really wanted us to see them. And if you look at enough of the sticky notes, they actually start to tell a story. And I can actually put this into a timeline, a FNAF Security Breach white sticky note timeline. First, we see import pending 6 a.m., indicating that a shipment was scheduled to arrive at the Pizzaplex at 6 a.m. We then see a label confirming that the shipment arrived at the Pizzaplex, along with a package number and the word return next to some question marks. The question marks tell us that they don't know where this package came from. Then things get worse. We get a sticky note saying unknown and a bunch of scribbles, followed by a bunch of package labels with question marks on them. If you haven't picked up on it already, this is almost the exact same scenario from the books. A shipment arrives at the Pizzaplex and the workers are confused about what it is. But it doesn't stop there. In the games, we actually learn who sent that shipment and what was in it. In FNAF AR, we learn about the Fazbear Funtime Delivery Service. This is a real delivery service in-universe where you can have an animatronic shipped to your house for special events. In order to do this, Fazbear Entertainment actually rebuilt all of the old animatronics from the past. And the company responsible for shipping these animatronics to people's houses was DLZ Shipping Solutions. We see Jimmy from the shipping company talking to Fazbear Entertainment in the FNAF AR emails. Fazbear is asking Jimmy for help concerning a virus in their system, but he never responds. Later on in the emails, someone finally finally does respond, and it's Vanessa. Vanessa created a fake email address and proceeded to take over for Jimmy and gain access to DLZ shipping solutions. Lewis from Fazbear Entertainment calls her out for this. Quote, I didn't want to put this in writing, but over the weekend, did you happen to create an IT department email address for yourself and use company credentials to reach out to a subcontractor and access their system? With Vanessa now in control of the shipping company, she sends a shipment to the Pizzaplex. This shipment is the one we see on the white sticky notes. I know this because grouped with all of the shipping sticky notes is one that says Remember Jimmy, referring to Jimmy from DLZ Shipping Solutions. So we know Vanessa sent this unknown shipment to the Pizzaplex, but what was in it? Well, I believe it was all of the FNAF AR animatronics and the Mimic. Just like how in the books, it was a bunch of state-of-the-art animatronics and the Mimic. Need more proof? In Rockstar Row in Security Breach, you can find a bunch of things on display, including this empty stage from FNAF VR. Instead of just closing the curtain, they left it open to show that the stage is empty. This tells me that Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica were once on that stage. We know it couldn't have been the OG Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica because they're long gone at this point. We literally see Foxy's rusted torso in a display case. It had to have been the rebuilt versions of the animatronics for the Funtime delivery service. I think this because if you look in front of the stage, you can see the shipping label with the question marks on it. The FNAF AR animatronics that were shipped to the Pizzaplex were once on that stage, and now I believe reside in the Blob. This is why we see a bunch of animatronics in the Blob that should no longer exist. These are the rebuilt versions of them for the Funtime delivery service. So we know that this shipment to the Pizzaplex included all of the FNAF AR animatronics, but what about the Mimic? Is there any proof that the Mimic was also shipped to the Pizzaplex? The following discoveries are the reason I decided to make this video, so hold on to your seats. So we know that this shipment to the Pizzaplex is a big deal in the books and the games, but they're not 100% the same. The same things happen, but some details are swapped out. Like for example, in the books, the shipment arrived to a construction crew before the Pizzaplex was done being built. But in the games, this shipment arrived after the Pizzaplex was done being built. So the question now is, does what happens next in the books also happen in the games? In the books, after the shipment arrives, one of the construction workers takes the Mimic and basically tricks it into doing his busy work. The workers were told to tear off the limbs and heads of a bunch of endoskeletons and pile them up. So the construction worker proceeded to plug his laptop into the Mimic and program it to do the job for them. The Mimic then began tearing off the limbs and heads of the endoskeletons, but once it ran out of endoskeletons, it started tearing apart the construction workers. Now, let me point you towards the games. In Security Breach, you can find a duffel bag message titled Job Security. The message reads as follows. Where is everyone? Leo was the only one who had a copy of the maze control key, but I haven't seen him for months. Maybe that creepy bot knows where the key is. Leo was supposed to train it to work the maze. Instead, he tricked the bot into doing busy work under the daycare theater. I'll check after the all-staff meeting tonight. So we have an employee that tricked a creepy bot into doing his busy work. And now he hasn't been seen for months. This is exactly what happens in the books, just with some details swapped out. This creepy bot is something I can't believe I haven't noticed before. I can't think of anything else this could be referencing other than the Mimic. Creepy bot is singular. They're talking about one specific animatronic, which means it can't be one of the many Glamrock endoskeletons. The only other character I could see this applying to is the daycare attendant. But even then, the daycare attendant has a name. Why use creepy bot? Also, we get a duffel bag message about a kid having nightmares after visiting the daycare, which implies that the daycare attendant is already working the daycare and wouldn't be available to do anything else. So not only was the Mimic included in the shipment to the Pizzaplex, the staff were aware of its existence and it was openly being used throughout the building. Need more proof? In the books, we learn one important piece of information. The Glamrock endoskeletons are version 2 of the Mimic endoskeleton. Basically, Fazbear Entertainment took the design and functionality of the Mimic and used it for the Glamrock endos. This is backed up in the games. In Security Breach, you can find blueprints for the Glamrock endos. And on those blueprints, it says that the Glamrock endos are the new generation of endos, implying that there was a previous version, which was the Mimic. And there's one thing that the Mimic and the Glamrock endoskeletons have in common. They're both drawn to sound. In Ruin, Helpy drops a piece of information about the Glamrocks that we've never heard before. He says experienced employees companies use intercom recordings to direct animatronic performers to specific locations, you know, for autographs and photo ops. A key game mechanic in Ruin is using sound to lure the Glamrocks away from us. This feature directly came from the Mimic. In the books, it's established that the main way to lure the Mimic away is by using sound. And among the sticky notes about the unknown shipment to the Pizzaplex, there's one that says, it is drawn to sound. Just like the creepy bot description from earlier, it is singular, which means whoever wrote this was talking about one specific animatronic. And I believe that to be the Mimic. So we know that the Mimic was shipped to the Pizzaplex, and we know that the staff knew about it. But what happens after that? Well, let me point you towards the Endo Daycare in Security Breach. This area has been overlooked for so long because we didn't really know what to make of it until Help Wanted 2 came out. In the Endo Daycare minigame in Help Wanted 2, it's our job to teach an Endo how to behave. We learned that the Endos are essentially toddlers that... Okay, so first of all, that makes so much sense. That is... Because, the Mimic story is like, oh, this is a sort of, it mimics people, it mimics, things that you teach and stuff like that. But yet, overall, I'm gonna let bro keep talking, I'm gonna let bro keep yapping. Let's continue on. We need to be taught what's right and wrong. This is why this area resembles a daycare.
Here, young animatronic endoskeletons learn how to associate with guests. Motivation chips encourage our youth to one day develop a personality and become the next Freddy, Chica, or TBD Pizzaplex star.
There's even this Easter egg in Security Breach when you bring Glamrock Freddy into the Endo Daycare.
I have never been allowed in here before. This must be where I was born.
He says this in the exact same room the Help Wanted 2 minigame takes place in. This is where the Endos are given their personalities and taught how to behave. When we teach the correct behavior, it displays a check mark. This is actually laid out on the doors in this area in Security Breach. You see right and wrong behaviors matched with check marks and X's. But you'll notice that Vanny's famous purple spray paint is all over the doors, which begs the question, what was Vanny doing here? Well, to figure this out, we have to look at the door in the room where we train the Endos. On the door, we see Glitch Trap spray painted next to an Endo with bunny ears on its head, with Help Wanted 2 telling us that this room is where Endos are given personalities and taught how to behave. I think this door is...
Give me a second here. Sorry about that, somebody was calling for my attention. Let's continue onward though.
Indicating that the goal was to transfer Glitch Trap into the physical world through the Mimic. This door can also be found in Help Wanted 2, which tells me once again that Steelwool really wanted us to see this. After the Mimic takes a trip through the Endo Daycare, what happens next? Well, this is where the sticky note room comes into play. We find out in the Tales books that the Mimic was known for drawing on multicolored sheets of paper, clearly connecting this room to the Mimic. The book even says that the Mimic would sometimes color in the entire page, and in this room we see pages completely colored in. There's also a workstation right above this room filled with a bunch of white sticky notes, including the It Is Drawn to Sound and the Mystery Shipment notes. Also on the table at this workstation are the blueprints for the Glamrock endoskeletons, where we learn that these are the new generation of Endos. All of this stuff clearly connects this room to the Mimic. So we know that the Mimic drew these pictures, but the biggest mystery is what these pictures mean. When you look at the drawings, most of them have to do with a birthday party, with a note saying birthday time, party time, a drawing of cake, pizza, balloons, kids, presents, and basically everything having to do with a birthday party. I've spent the last 2 years looking at these sticky notes trying to figure out what this birthday party means. The Mimic in the books never attends any sort of birthday party, so why would the Mimic in the games want to draw about birthday parties? Well, I think the answer might have been right in front of us the whole time. I've spent an embarrassing amount of time looking at these 3 images, the texture files for the sticky notes, trying to figure out what they all mean. But the one thing that I've been missing is the context of the drawings. For a year and a half now, I've been saying that Security Breach is about environmental storytelling. So looking at where the sticky notes are placed in this room is almost as important as what's drawn on them. And in the sticky note room, there's some key drawings that Steelwool obviously wanted us to see. There's the drawings clearly sitting on top of the cardboard box in front of a candle. There's This Is My Home Leave clearly on display as well. But even then, these things are not organized whatsoever. They're scattered all over the place, except for one spot. In the back of the room behind this wooden post, you can find 6 sticky notes that are unlike the rest.
Yes,
in a room full
like
of drawings scattered
stuff.
everywhere, these are perfectly lined up in a grid and being lit by a candle. Looking closer at them, I noticed that these were the sticky notes with the arrows on them. The drawings with the arrows always confused me, until I looked at the rest of the drawings in this grid. We see pictures of kids, fun and games, and then stop, go. With the context of the kids, the arrows, and stop, go, it looks to me like these are directions. As if someone was directing the mimic throughout the Pizzaplex, passing a bunch of kids, birthday parties, pizza, fun and games, and balloons. If the mimic really was present throughout the Pizzaplex, like we see in the duffel bag message earlier about the creepy bot and the "it is drawn to sound" note, then it would make sense that it would draw about birthday parties. The Pizzaplex is a giant place where birthday parties are being held. All it's seeing in this place is birthday parties. And I think the person guiding the mimic throughout the Pizzaplex and keeping it in this room was Vanessa. If you look at enough of the sticky notes, you can see evidence of 2 entities talking to each other. This is something that ID's Fantasy threw out there a while ago, and I completely agree. There's notes that say you and me, hello and goodbye, befriend, hide, no hide, get snack, pizza time, and obviously stop, go. You even see evidence that they followed through on these notes as well. In the sewer system, you can find a little hideout featuring the drawings, a pizza, and a bunch of cups. I think this was Vanessa and the mimic communicating with each other. I think it's pretty clearly laid out that Vanessa was highly involved with Glitchtrap and the mimic, whether that be through the trailers.
When I first found you, you were nothing.
There is more going on here than you realize.
Vanessa in Help Wanted.
Don't worry. I'll be ready. And I won't let you down.
Or the spray paint in the Endo Daycare from earlier. She was clearly heavily involved with the mimic. And I think that's also shown to us through this drawing in the sticky note room. This drawing of someone holding a flashlight is a lot different than the other drawings of kids wearing birthday hats. That's because I think this could be a drawing of Vanessa holding her flashlight and wearing her security hat, further solidifying her being present down there. But even then, the drawing didn't fully convince me. That could be any security guard. The thing that really convinced me was this. When you're going through the sewer section of the game, you pass by the little hideout and a bunch of drawings, eventually leading you to the sticky note room. But right before you get there, one character comes out of nowhere and starts chasing you all the way to the sticky note room. Vanny. Help Wanted 2 explains to us that when an Endo is being trained in the Endo Daycare, it starts off as a blank robot.
Think of the staff bot in front of you as a blank canvas.
Then essentially grows up as you teach it more and more.
Congratulations. You are now teaching at a 4th grade level.
4th grade
level.
Okay.
You are now teaching at a junior high level.
This is exactly what we see with the different phases of the drawings. What once started as a robot talking in binary slowly started growing up and becoming more intelligent, with the drawings and handwriting becoming better and better. Vanny was training the mimic to be a robotic recreation of William Afton. This is why we see a robotic recreation of the Afton family. Vanessa was showing the mimic that this was its family and that this was its home. But as the mimic started growing up, it started becoming more aware. It started wanting things for itself and getting possessive over what it had, eventually leading it to kick out anyone who stepped foot in its home. I believe that Burn Trap is the result of Glitchtrap's plan working, entering the physical world through the mimic. But there's 2 people who stopped that from happening: Gregory and Cassie's dad. In Ruin, we learned that the Burn Trap ending is not the canon ending to Security Breach. The canon ending is the Princess Quest ending, where Gregory destroys Glitchtrap and frees Vanessa. We also learned that after Gregory freed Vanessa, they likely caught the mimic and trapped it in the basement, like we hear in the Candy Cadet's story.
There was a monster in the woods.
But as we learn in Help Wanted 2, Gregory didn't destroy all of Glitchtrap. A piece of him still remained, and Cassie's dad was the one who destroyed that piece in Princess Quest 4. This is why when we finally meet the mimic in Ruin, there's no trace of Glitchtrap or William Afton left. Gregory and Cassie's dad destroyed it all, leaving the plain old mimic left to be found by Cassie in the basement. We learn in Security Breach that Vanessa was sent to the Pizzaplex for a reason.
I'm needed somewhere else now. Thank you.
And I believe that reason was to help Glitchtrap enter the physical world through the Mimic. After shipping the Mimic to the Pizzaplex, Vanessa uses the Endo Daycare to turn the Mimic into this robotic recreation of William Afton. She keeps the Mimic in the sticky note room, telling it that this was its family and that this was its home. But after Gregory frees Vanessa and destroys most of Glitchtrap, they lock the Mimic in the basement, where it eventually will trick Cassie into setting it free. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching.
That is sick. That is actually, that connects a lot of dots, and not, honestly, that makes sense. Okay, so without any further ado, let me just get into my actual, just general thoughts and opinion on actual stuff. Going on to the actual evidence presented, then going on to the actual, question asked. Then of course, question asked, evidence presented. Then of course, after that, presentation in general. So without any further ado, let me just get my general thoughts and opinions on the actual stuff. But let's get into it. So yeah, starting off with the actual question itself asked. The question itself asked is like, I guess it's just saying, how does the Mimic get here? How does the Mimic in general get to the Freddy Fazbear's location, and how does it end up being in the basement of just the entire building? But aside from that, though, also, it does also ask the question, what was the Mimic's purpose, and why was the Mimic transported here? Who transported it here? So yeah, overall, those are the questions that are being asked. Who brought it here? Why is it here? And just in general, what is it here for? And then yeah, those are the questions that he does present a lot of evidence for, and of course present a lot of evidence in support of it. So of course, aside from that though, like I said, just in general, the questions asked here are very important, very necessary for the actual story of Security Breach itself, and in general are very necessary questions, because we don't really know how it got there, we don't know how what it was doing there, and of course it answers a lot of the questions that we had about Security Breach in general. The sticky note room, the random sticky notes, the Remember Jeremy stuff, and just in general how the Mimic even got there in the first place, and what Burn Trap even was. That's the question that we're asking, that we were asking in the beginning, that we never got the actual answers to. And overall, this is a great explanation for it. And overall, just in general, I really love the actual the questions that they asked here, because they're very necessary and very, very, very just connected to the lore. Aside from that, without any further ado, just go on to the actual, evidence presented, and of course, go on, just get my little thoughts on that. So let's get into it. So overall, the evidence that they presented, or that FNAF, presented, all of it made sense. Honestly, on paper, everything makes sense, but that's still, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna take this as true for now, unless we get future evidence that kind of denies this, because yeah, we still don't know at any point in the future, any future game that Help Wanted 3 or anything like that. Yeah, any new game that comes out could prove this evidence to be completely denied. It could basically prove all these questions to just be unnecessary. It could just explain. There we go. I knew that was gonna trigger. But like I said, any future game though is probably gonna just either A, continue confirming the stuff that we already have on paper, or just completely deny it and make me just say, you were wrong the whole time, you were stupid, and then we'll just be crying again. But aside from that, like I said, so overall, like I said, I believe all the evidence here, all the evidence that FNAF presented, super good. Love it so much, and in general, it's just so well put together. It's just so cool. But aside from that though, just the amount of analyzing that is needed to even to answer one of the few questions that we still have about the series itself, like the Mimic in general, is so complicated and so not controversial, but just so difficult to get, because the game itself, it gives us the context, but not in the right order. The game itself isn't giving us the context we need as soon as we need it, and or in the right position. So we gotta just kind of go, do like loops around, gotta find loopholes, gotta find, gotta kind of analyze everything about the actual, game itself in order to understand these things. And overall, I think, FNAF presented these, he brought up the evidence in a clear, understanding manner, and of course brought them together in a way that makes a lot of sense. And I love that. That's so well done, so cool, and in general, it's just so nice. But aside from that, though, yeah, just in general, like I said, the evidence presented all very much correlates to the actual Mimic itself. Very convincing. I love it so much, and in general, it's just so cool. So that enough to do. Let's get into the actual presentation itself. Let's get into it. So overall, the presentation itself here was so well done. The editing for this video was crazy. I love it so much, and of course, it's just so cool. But aside from that, though, also just in general, the fact that he has such bad bed hair, it's just so crazy. I don't know if that's just how much he's been pulling out his hair, trying to figure this stuff out, or that's just if he just literally got out of bed and started making this theory together. or if he's been up like maybe for like the past 4 weeks in order to come up with this theory. But either way, that is so true. That is so true. Honestly, you know, hold on. Let me go back to it. Not this scene.
Presence and basically
Me after like 4 hours of just trying to piece together the lore. That's honestly just, yeah, that FNAF will do that to you. Honestly, FNAF will do that to you. But aside from that, though, without any further ado, I love the presentation here. It's all so well done. The editing is so just well made. No, versus general looks so good, and in general, I just love it so much. Without any further ado, that does kind of get through my general thoughts and opinion on the anime itself. So of course, if you want more of a deeper dive of the anime itself, continue watching. But of course, if you're if you're done with this, if you're just gonna say I'm done, I think I'm done here. So look, if you're willing to just say okay, I got my fill, then of course please go check out the actual video stuff in general. Like FNAF put a ton of effort and time into this, like unironically, to come up with this theory. And just like I said, just go check them out. Link down below. Of course, if you put it at yourself, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe so much to the channel. Just in general helps me out a ton. So please do that, of course. Of course. Aside from that, also consider hitting the notification bell for the next time I upload. And of course, comment down below whether you think the theory is correct or whether or not you think, oh, this is like this is like 100% correct, or this is like, oh, maybe it could still be tweaked. There's still things that we still haven't considered, or of course you think, no, this is completely wrong. Like I said, leave your thoughts and opinions on their theory or on FNAF's theory in the comments down below. I'll be sure to respond to as many as I can. But I do think this does piece together a lot of lore and a lot of just convoluted rooms and just side lore and stuff like that all together. It does kind of think it all together in a good what's that word? It's like cohesive theory, and love it. So well done, so good, and in general, really, really nicely put. Aside from that, though, without any further ado, let me go into the actual deeper dive, the actual stuff. So let me get down to it. Some instructions. So yeah, the questions asked, like I said, a lot of it was very necessary to ask. The mimic itself here is a very big part of the DLC. It's basically the main reason why Cassie is here in general, and just in general. One of the main reasons why just ruin happens in general. It's just one of those things you have to really ask. And of course, yeah, overall, we didn't really have any kind of guesses for a long time. Matpat, even Matpat was struggling to find out what that sticky note room was about. One of his first theories was that it was about the actual, just in general, Gregory robot theory. And who knows, that could still be true and that could still hold up. But it also does kind of say, what if it's different though? What if we're going about a different robotic teaching things? Like basically the question that FNAF asks here is that what if the mimic itself here is the main reason why these rooms exist, and what if these side pieces of evidence and lore and stuff like that are all about the mimic and how he got here, what he's here for, and maybe just in general his purpose here, and then all of that really does culminate into the actual last bit, the actual video itself. And overall, like I said, in general, the theories themselves here, or the questions asked, are very necessary because we don't really know why the mimic is here. We don't know what he was built for. We don't even know who brought him here. We didn't ask any of those questions. We just thought, okay, hey, the mimic's here. Probably from the books here, probably the exact same situations. But no, like I said, the books themselves, they're only correct up to a certain point, and that's the main point of the book themselves. They explain things about the lore, but they don't give us concrete evidence, or they don't give us concrete enough, stories to actually put it into the game itself. So overall, like I said, I love all these questions that FNAF asks, and I love all the evidence presented. I'll get to that in a second. But like I said, just in general, all these questions were really necessary, really need to be asked, and in general, I'm really glad that he got to those questions as well. So without any further ado, let's get into the actual evidence presented here. So without any further ado, that's it. So overall, yeah, honestly, the evidence itself here, very convincing. I'm not gonna lie. The way he presented it, in the the way that he kind of articulated all these pieces and bits into a sort of cohesive theory, and of course just in general a sort of explanation of how the mimic got here and everything like that, was so well done. I love it so much, and it connects a lot of pieces that we didn't really think about too hardly into a really good story. And yeah, overall, just the stuff with the DLZ shipping company account, Vanessa, to the sticky note room, to even just in general why the mimic is in the dang basement of the actual Pizzaplex in general. All of that is very necessary to ask, and not only that, but just the endoskeleton room. All of those were just really solid pieces that FNAF put together in such a good way that honestly, I'm really inclined to believe this theory is actually true. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is canon. I think this is canon. I think this is very, very correct. But who knows though? Like I said, at any point, Steelwell Studios or anybody part of the FNAF franchise could just easily disprove these could easily disprove anything that we've come up with in the next game or the next installment or maybe any new books that come out. I'm just hoping that this kind of sticks around for a lot longer than the Gregory robot stuff. But this one is still pretty pretty good. But aside from that, though, that interview them. Like I said, the evidence itself here, really well done, really well compiled, numbers in general, really well utilized. So that interview, I'm going to the actual presentation itself. Let's get into it. So overall, the presentation itself here was really well done. I love all the bits that I love all the clips that FNAF does bring up. Like he brings up like literally everything from like just in-game like messages to like of course footage from the actual game itself, but edited in a way that looks really convincing as to why these things are here, to even pictures of of his evidence and like the little question marks here, in general the entire story itself of the game, and of course the whiteboard itself here being a very necessary component into why this story why it probably is the way it is. But yeah, all of this super necessary, super required, and just in general, I love that he brought it all up, and featured it here so that we honestly could, just support it even harder. Like I said, the editing itself here was crazy. I love it. I love the stuff that he compiles, and I love that he shows us, the evidence that he compiled in a sort of, how to say it, in a cohesive sense. And I love it so much. That's so cool, and just in general, really enjoyable, and I just love it so much because of that. Aside from that, though, also, like I said, bro has a crazy bedhead. Most likely from all the theorizing he's had to do and how much he's had to pull out his hair and question why everything is the way it is. So like I said, just in general, it's so good. It's just so well done, so well portrayed, and just really enjoyable. But aside from that, like I said, just like overall, really good. Hold on. Yeah, like I said, a lot of very crazy bedhead. Aside from that, though, like I said, in general, I really enjoyed this, and I hope you guys did too. So like I said, please go check it out for yourself. Link down below. Please go check it out. And of course, not only that, another end card right there. I'm leaving you 2 links to get to every video, so please go check it out. And of course, another end card right there for another one of my videos if you're interested in catching that. So without any further ado, have a great day. Take care, and I'll be seeing you boys. Oh, before I actually like, subscribe, notification bell for next upload. I almost forgot a promo a little bit. I apologize. Like I said, go ahead and hit the like button if you made it to the end of the video itself. Of course, also go ahead and hit the subscribe button for the next upload, and of course, notification bell for any new video as soon as it comes out. If you want to be notified for any future video, that's what the bell icon is kind of what you need to do. Aside from that, though, also comment down below whether you actually believe the theory itself, whether you think it's cap, or whether you think oh hey, this is pretty good. This is very likely theory. But aside from that, though, anything to do. Take care, have a safe day, and I'll be seeing you boys later on, okay? So take care, and, yeah, later.